Plas Hendre. If you haven't been here before, you know what it is now. It's a na I gario ymlaen yn Saesneg a ddim yn Romaneg chwaith, achos I'll just say a few words in English. My Romanian is not up to it. My Welsh is, but anyway, just not to duplicate things. It's my greatest pleasure to have Emilia's book launch, Washing My Hair with Nettles. I've read it from cover to cover, and it's for sale there. Very cheap. 8 pence na mi'n ceiniog in Welsh. £7.99. Fe, yn iaith ar TV. Wedyn, mi'n groesawu Richard fan hyn sydd wedi cyhoeddi llyfr Emilia, Richard of Parthian Books, who's published Emilia's wonderful volume of poetry. I've heard some of it in Romanian as well, and those of you who maybe can understand Romanian or read Romanian, with my little bit of French, I can read a little bit, but I won't do it now. But this is Samani, see, poetic, shamans and poets, and many of the poems, of course, in English translation by Emilia and Diarmuid Johnson. Now Diarmuid and Bruce are going to play a little bit of music. Emilia will introduce her poetry and read some in Romanian and English. Many people would have loved to have been here. I've sent apologies. A great friend of mine, Diarmuid Johnson, I sent her the book, and she'd just become a grandmother. I didn't know without a 9, and unfortunately can't come, but she is of the same Anyan, I think, or the same. Beth yw Anyan yn Saesneg? Spirit. Poetic spirit. Same poetic spirit as Emilia here. And another poet I met on the field, the Miles Steddfod, on Friday, Richard Hopwood, also bought the book and said, wow, So two very fine poets. We have another one in the back there, obviously. But I'm talking about women poets, right? And both Nesta and Meredith are two of our finest poets in Welsh. A dyna ni, and croeso mawr iawn Emilia, sy'n siarad Cymraeg wedi dysgu Cymraeg, ac wrth gwrs mae rhai ohonoch chi Cymraeg. I wedyn Saesneg, achos Emilia has translated Angharad Price's wonderful novel O Tyn y Gorchudd into Romanian. So she must have some smattering of Welsh to have done that. Yes. I'll hand you over now to Richard, who will introduce Lehman, and thank you again for letting me host this book launch here in Plas Hendre. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bethan. It's a pleasure to be here. Very much thanks to you for offering to host Emilia's the launch of Washing My Hair with Nettles. Apologies for myself, I got a bit stuck this morning coming back from Aberystwyth. It always takes longer than you think. So thank you for your patience on that one. I was fortunate to meet Emilia at Diarmuid a few years back when she was over on a translator's bursary where she was working on Anne Harrod's book and also the poetry of Alice Thomas. And she mentioned that she was a published poet in Romanian, and obviously we I'd be interested to read her work. And she mentioned Diarmuid Johnson, who I also known a few years back when he was editor of Transcript here in Aberystwyth, as a linguist and a poet and a translator himself. So with this sort of collaboration, it was Diarmuid and Emilia sort of worked together to make a selected edition of her two poetry collections, in Romanian to come up one this year. It's quite unusual. There's not much poetry being translated into English really. So it's a pleasure to bring a voice from a completely different culture for ours into English and then to engage with that. And I think Diarmuid's done a marvellous job of capturing that. So I think Diarmuid was going to say a few things about the process and the background to Emilia's poems now. So that's all for me, and we'll get on with the introducing. I'm sure this is Diarmuid Johnson.
What I've decided to do is to read you an abridged version of the postface. It will last about 10 minutes, but it will give you an excellent introduction into Romanian and Balkan culture and poetry. A leading literary critic, Daniel Cristianache, recently spoke as follows of the work of Emilia Ivancu. She swims against the mainstream of Romanian poetry, but she swims upstream, coming closer to the sources of ancient symbols. And swimming in deep waters, her work brings to the surface things that have lain dormant for long periods of time. These things include the one tree that is a forest, the shaman and the poet, the medusa, or jellyfish, dying in the sun's fatal embrace. We see the world in the poem Sleep through the eyes of a fox. In Two Armenian Women, we see Mount Ararat. Witness to genocide in 1915, we see Jerusalem, mist maids at midsummer. We see Bardsey Island empty through the eyes of a pilgrim, and signs that are revealed with every step. How do we learn to read these signs? To do this, we must enter the Balkan world. The great cathedrals of England, France and Germany epitomize a view of the world as held by the medieval Christian mind in Western Europe. These edifices reach out to the sky in longing. They cast huge shadows and humble the beholder. Their message is clear: feet rooted to the earth, man is a lesser being than all things celestial and high. Such cathedrals do not exist in Romania. Here, as elsewhere in the Balkans and the Orthodox world, there are other models. The low-roofed monastery, for example, a place where the faithful wait with dignity for divine grace to descend among them. Wasn't a reference to Sue. In Carrying the Sky on Our Shoulders, we read, "Today the sky has climbed down from above, but weighs little on our willing shoulders, and all things yearn to rest their soul." Inhabiting the margins of the human world in Balkan culture and in the poetry of Emilia Ivancu, we find shapes and shadows, figments of the subconscious perhaps, not spirits as such, but simply beings. They're not always hostile to their mortal neighbours, but seem to represent some danger, at least to the innocent. Amongst these we find Yelele, the mist maids at midsummer. They are dancing, they are spinning, they are luscious in the moonlight. In the poem She Is, the personification of a perceived presence in the world is developed from the folk vein by the poet into a verbal equivalent of an impressionistic painting. In the poetry of Emilia Ivancu, we find women who wash their hair with nettles, carry the world on their shoulders, walk on water. Women who say that the air is all they have. The woman suffers, but her world is not colonized by the male world. She is free but human. She has the power given to her by earth and sea, though this power is also hers to lose. The mythological space is still vibrant in Romania today and contrasts with the largely post-mythological space of Western Europe and Britain. To live in the mythological space is to be part of a world animated by symbols and tradition, and to share with other forms of life, fauna and flora, an environment built from earth, sky, mountain, and time. But time here is not linear, not a hostile force that exhausts human life. Time is cyclical, and being cyclical is benign. Emanating from within the mythological space, the poetry of Emilia Ivancu is an expression of the things human culture was built on during the centuries and millennia that precede the mechanization and industrialization that characterizes the present era. That's all I'd say.
Thank you very much, Julia. I suppose I've got to say something about the sort of nature of getting translations to work, because Emilia mentioned that she knew Diarmuid Johnson, and I thought, oh right, he was in Poland, and Emilia was in Poland and working in Poznan. So I think, well, often that's what, there's a sort of synchronicity with translations, that you get the right person to do it. I think we very much have that with Diarmuid. So now, the main star of the show, I suppose, is Emilia Ivancu. So I'd like to welcome her to a place that she knows very well over many years. So it's home from home, I think, in this little corner of Romania in the top of Aberystwyth Hill. So please welcome Emilia Ivancu.
Naam da. This is all I'm going to say for now in Welsh. As always, but especially now, and very genuinely, I'd like to thank a few people, and one of them is Bethan, and as Richard was saying, Plas Hendre has become a sort of my another home, and a lot of this poetry and a lot of other works that I do, I mean academic work and other things, were actually born in Plas Hendre, so it's only natural that this event is taking place here now. So thank you, dear Bethan. Thank you, Richard, for publishing this book, and I remember that it all started with a pilgrimage, with a map and, and a trip where we saw Entley, which I had seen before on the map with Diarmuid. Speaking of translation, poetry is like water, isn't it? Those people who live by the well have access to it, but those who live very far away need a channel, otherwise they would die of thirst. So for me, translation is the channel that actually gives the water to the people who need. So thank you, Diarmuid, for channeling my poetry into this world and into this place and into this book. This is actually the 5th project we've had, so many channels of water. So that would be it. Washing my hair with Nettles. Many people have asked me, people who live outside Romania, whether is this true? I mean, what do you mean by washing my hair with Nettles? It's true. I do it every year. This is how my grandmother taught me to wash my hair until the Nettles get married, they say in Romanian. What does it mean? Until they bloom, and then they are no longer good. They no longer have energy to give us. So it's true. So I think I'll start reading with this text, which gives the book its title, to have a sort of first insight into what my world looks like. Washing my hair with nettles. I picked young nettles while an April moon shone, and while the trees sang cradle song for the shy grass, and the first lizards bathed in the sunlight after long eclipse. I picked them, and their needles softly stung my flesh, and I knew this was the price they had put on the silken water with which tomorrow, after sunset, I would wash my hair. Now, in the kettle of simmering water and pungent needles, I poured, together with the leaves, a flood of dreams, none of which had ever been known to me before. These are dreams born of nettles, though only once a year. Dreams seen by eyes that will become mine to see with only when silken needles have begun to grow out of my waxless hair. only when fresh nettles have broken through the soil once more, only when winter has ended and when the sun has set for the last time. Would you like to hear some Romanian? I'll try the Romanian first. This text was written here in Aberystwyth, and it's called Song in Romanian. Let's see what you think of when I read it here, and then we'll see the translation. Am visat că m-am culcat pe o stâncă, pe un mal de mare, să-mi adorm visele, să-mi adorm viața. Mi-am acoperit umbra cu un val, m-am scufundat acolo unde nici peștii nu ajung, de teamă că își vor înduți solzii. M-am scufundat să-mi adorm ochii obosiți, să-mi aduc aminte ce am fost înainte să mă nasc. Bâșbuiam în întuneric, căutând urmele celor ce au trăit înaintea mea și ale celor ce se vor naște după mine. Am visat că m-am cufundat în apă de jad, să-mi adorm visele netrăite, să-mi adorm cântecele uitate, să-mi găsesc ochii pe care i-am pierdut în ziua în care am văzut pentru prima dată în mine. Am visat că m-am culcat pe un stânc, pe un țărm de mare, să-mi adorm visele, să-mi adorm viața. Sleep. It is for Bruce. He knows what.
I only have my eyes closed.
I dreamt I had lain down by the seashore on a rock to sleep, to put my dreams to sleep, to suspend the spinning wheels of life. The shadow of a wave clasped me. Into depths I descended where no fish will go, for fear they might swallow their own scales. Into the depths I dived, that my tired eyes might sleep, to recall what I once had been before I was born. Feeling my way through the dark, searching for traces of those who inhabited the world before me, of those destined to be born when my time is past. I dreamt that I was diving into jade-clear waters to send to sleep the unlived dreams, to send to sleep the forgotten songs, to find again the eyes, once mine, that I had lost, eyes mine on that day when first I saw the light. I dreamt I had lain down by the seashore on a rock to sleep, to put my dreams to sleep, to suspend the spinning wheels of life. Will you read with me?
Would you like me to?
I'd like to read in Romanian, Ielele, and maybe Dylan will read the English. This has been mentioned by him in the presentation. It's very dangerous for man to get lost on St. John's night, because they might see these female beings, and then they are lost. So it is about that. Ielele. Se adună, frumoase, se adună, dansează, nebune, sub clar de lună, cântă, departe, aleargă în noapte, cântec de fag, dans de nălucă, alergi, le vezi. Ochii ți-au foc, mâna atinge copacul, părul te mângâie, umbra dispare, cântecul plânge, cântecul sună, dansul te adoarme, dansul te adună, vântul le aduce, vântul le mână, alergi, le vezi în
Mist maids at midsummer. They are dancing, they are spinning, they are luscious in the moonlight, and their singing fills the valleys, and they sing about the willow, and running now you see them, and running you will lose them. And now your eyes are burning, there are hands upon the willow, and their locks might brush your cheeks as their shadows disappear. And their singing is of weeping, and the singing it is booming, and their dancing makes you sleepy, and their dancing draws you nearer. And the wind is theirs to straddle, and running, you are running, and now your head is spinning, and you are lost and fading. They are dancing, they are spinning, they are luscious in the moonlight, and their singing fills the valley, and they sing about the willow, and their singing fills the valleys, and they sing about the willow.
I think we're going to listen to some music now. After this poem, which drew a translation into 10 minutes. That was a challenge. So, Diarmuid.
The mist maids are a problem, and if you don't meet them, it's no. I think pity.
I was born near a mountain, and when I first went to know it, it was a surprise for me that you don't know you're by a mountain, but at some point the curtain of clouds just pulls apart and you see the mountain, and then after 10 minutes they pull in again and the mountain is gone. For me it was so unusual. So I'm a mountain girl, and here is a poem about a mountain. 7 years. For this time on, until 7 years have passed, I shall begin and end each day, eyes raised to the mountain that my window overlooks, the better always to remember that a man comes into this world, that the mountain and not he may climb into the sky. And I'd like to read a poem to you now, dedicated to the victims of the Armenian genocide. A poem I wrote a couple of years ago when I visited Armenia. And because this year it's been 100 years, so it's commemoration, I promised myself I would read this poem every time I would have a public lecture this year. So I'll read a poem in Romanian and English, and I'll ask Diarmuid to accompany me all along. And I invite you with us on this journey and think about. Poem scrisoare către muntele Ararat. Am visat că mi-ai scris un poem despre două femei din Armenia. Două femei din lungul convoi de ființe albastre ce și-au lăsat în deșert părul lor cel lung și negru ca o noapte. Și umbra nălucă pentru a-l veghea copiii nealăptați de nimeni sub soare și bărbații sfâșiați de vânturi și neîngropați de nimeni. Mi-ai scris despre plânsetul lor cel fără de casă, ca un murmur de valuri când furtuna nu vrea să adoarmă. Mi-ai scris și despre muntele Ararat, unde zboară numai vulturii albi, cei negri murind în blestemul pământului atunci când colinele și văile i-au fost inundate de sânge tânăr, precum roa de dimineață. Mi-ai scris și despre toate suferințele pe care oamenii le zâmbesc atunci când nu se lasă înghițiți de ură. Despre cum putem muri de atâtea ori în viață și totuși să nu îngropăm pe nimeni în morțile noastre, acestea fiind numai între noi și Dumnezeu. Mi-ai scris și că îmi vei trimite zeii să mă ridice atunci când voi cădea în drumul meu către vârful muntelui Ararat și că vulturii cei albi îmi vor vindeca rănile de pe genunchi și brațe. Și atunci când m-am trezit din somnul meu, n-a mai fost eu, ci umbra tuturor femeilor armene din deșert, ale căror răni nimeni nu le-a vindecat, pe ai căror copii nimeni nu i-a alăptat și pe ai căror bărbați nimeni nu i-a îngropat. Și de atunci tot aștept pe vârful de munte semnul zeilor tăi și zborul vulturilor albi. desert had taken from them. Bluish shapes whose eerie shadows had remained under a burning desert. Under a burning desert sky to watch over their milkless young. Their milkless young, their menfolk, ravaged by the winds, with never a hand to bury them. To me you wrote of their roofless weeping, like waves heaving in a storm that will not abate. So too, of Ararat you wrote to me, where the white vultures fly alone, while others, black, have been struck down, cursed by the earth, when they stained hill and valley in carrion blood, young as the morning dew. You wrote to me of the scars concealed in people smiling who refuse, hate a license to consume them, and how in a single lifetime, time and again, we may succumb to death, yet, despite our dying, we sentence no one to the grave, for this concerns no other than God and us. You wrote to say you would send the gods to raise me up, if bound for the peak of Ararat I should ever fall, to say how the white vultures would heal of their wounds my knees, my arms. And then when I awoke, I no longer was myself, but a shadow, moving on the desert among the women of Armenia, those whose wounds none had nursed, those whose children none had fed with milk, those whose menfolk none had married. And since that time, my waiting has never ceased, waiting for a sign given by those gods that you invoke, waiting for a glimpse of white vultures on the wing. Going back to St. John's night and visit another tale. It is written in the idiom of Romanian folk tradition. By the church door she stood, and there she waited for me. Her wiry hair buttered up with snakes made of cream, in her right hand a sprig she held of basil so green, tied up with the hair from the tail of a rollicking steed. With her left hand she gestured, and I stepped promptly inside, and her black-toothed smile was a cue for the birds of the night. When I went in, there was John, painted in prayer icons bright. I wished that the priest might bless me, my fate and my plight. But the priest danced a dance round the altar, heel toe, and on both his shoulders 2 pigeons did perch as he goes. In the church there was no one. To the roof no singing voice rose. The priest still danced on in a silence that beautifully glowed. And so I went in, hand in hand with a crow, come down from a sky painted by André Rouleau, sat on a web spun by a spider so slow, but the witch she had left, and now I was standing alone. The night all round had grown most eerie and blind. I could feel the crow leading me on. He held my hand tight, and there it was plain, a miracle born a night. The stone had been moved, but who could have pushed it aside? Diarmuid, could you play some more music for us?
We play two tunes from East Galway, just near where I'm from. Source is a flute player called Paddy. I'm playing a flute in the key of C, and Bruce is playing a citern in the key of D. Is that right? There we are.
Something about geraniums this morning.
Huh.
You like geraniums, don't you? Here's a poem. Short one. Geranium. The red geranium I bought this morning smiles now, a gaping wound by the window. And so, when they pass my door, the tall people choose to look away with a little wonder. Sweetly compulsive, they smile and pause to look, because they know the geranium red has come from far away, from a land where all colors, as it soars, they have all joy, all the cuts and graces of this life. I know Bruce went to Italy not long ago, didn't you?
I didn't get saved.
Oh, there you go. I invite you to play when I read a poem entitled Entry. So it's a symbol of your home, which I first saw on a map shown by Diarmuid, and then from Borg, and then just before writing this poem, I saw from Aberystwyth with Richard and a couple of other friends with whom we took a sort of pilgrimage journey to them. So that's for you. It's only a part, there are 3 parts, but the poem is longer, so we'll have one part at the beginning. Thank you. A book a map, and silence. With these you begin your journey to the island of the saints. Their names are to be found in no almanac, neither on the altar, but their words breathe deep beneath the sea. Should you wish to turn for home, and like the page that you now read, whose letters remain unchanged tomorrow, the road that unwinds before you may not be open when you return. And words you choose not to utter will bloom again on every tree along the way, while things spoken yesterday will by then long since have expired. All that you may wish to find in others, you will find but in yourself. All you may have given to the world will sleep tomorrow with shadows and the sea. When things come, they come to us in silence. Should we choose to call them in song and dream? If chained down, they will resist and strive to destroy all words made of thunder, lightning, or fire. Sing to things that may come to you. Sing to them of pilgrims and blue springs, of sea blue green, silent and shifting, of the holy mountain that will not weep in autumn when birds leave. Sing to them of saints who sleep deep in the waters. Then perhaps the road which unwinds before you will be open if you should return. Of all the things you may consider sacred that you encounter along your mortal way, you will choose perhaps those whose colors change like the surface of the sea, and return in spring as do the birds, always in a swirling flock, though others of their kind. Our journey for now is getting to an end, so I have chosen the last poem for you, and I'd like you to accompany me on flute, if you agree. Nej, sa du nej? Vidare, she was stuck on my
Yes.
The world is but an endless sea of mist. So this is the last one. The world is but an endless sea of mist. The world is but an endless sea of mist. And through the world I went, my eyes, those of fox, of forest, and of wave. Those two of all who ever went before me, before I then became none other than myself, before, with eyes of my own, I saw the light. The first half of my life, this I spent reading books, some long, some concise, sweeping down a mountainside, a slope of dream. My skis, the insights that remain when all is read, and then forgotten. The next part of my life I spent a pilgrim between Mount Eremos and the Mount of Olives, in the grip of sudden storm, a gift to me from the world, and living on nothing but olives, savoring their slow bliss, always mine, never thinking to feed off that of others. In this way I survive. I no longer know where I am today, nor with whose eyes I see, though these things carry no importance. Today, in this the third half of my life, I delight in all sweet tastes one can find, high on the slope or deep in the mountain's shadow. And if patience should suffice to forget all things one can read in a lifetime, hand on heart, I can say no more than this. The world is but an endless sea of mist.
Pethau fatha gwin, vino. Yn Romanian. Fin. Fanna. Mae at bach o'r bethau eraill fewn ma, Richard wedi dod â stwff hefyd. A mae yna di-alcohol. Dwi'n meddwl bod pawb sydd ddim yn deall Cymraeg yn deall beth dwi'n gweud. Fin, gwin, wine, di-alcohol. Oce, ond dwi'n meddwl sa'ch chi'n unwaith eto yn hoffi